Hello, everyone. Welcome to Autumn Athletes Not Done Yet. Larry Sorensen here, and today we are going to spotlight Bea Graves. She's going to let us know what makes her an autumn athlete that's not done yet. Bea, I really want to thank you for taking in time to connect with us and tell us a little bit about yourself and your fitness journey.
Well, thank you, Larry. Really appreciate being here. I think it's a great thing that you're doing with this whole series, and I've watched some of your other ones. They're wonderful, just fabulous to meet virtually these other athletes that are aging. My name, Bea Graves. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been here all my life. Beach volleyball is the sport that I love. I've been playing volleyball in one form or another since I was just a kid. Got a husband of many years. I'm 67 now. We got married when I was 20, so that's a lot of years. And we have 4 of our biological kids, and then we adopted 6 relatives relatively late in life. So we have a gigantic family. I've got grandkids now and everything. And for work, I have done a variety of careers, but most recently I've been a technology and information security risk manager.
That sounds fantastic. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about your athletic history?
I was one of those kids that was always moving. A tomboy, they called me back in those days. I played every sport that I possibly could in elementary school, K through 8 we went to. I was on every after-school sports team we had, volleyball, basketball, softball. They had what they called at the time the Presidential Fitness Initiative, and I was part of that and proudly part of that. But then when I got into high school, it was before Title IX. So there weren't any real women's sports at my high school until the year I graduated. It kicked in, but there really wasn't a program there. So I just kind of didn't participate at school. But I discovered at the local park here in Canto Park, people played volleyball in the evenings and on weekends. And if you just showed up, you could maybe get into a game. So all through, from the time I was about 16, I would go over to Canto Park every free evening and weekend I had and just ask the guys, can I play? Can I play? And they were nice enough to let me play often enough that I just got hooked on volleyball. Met my husband, we got married, we played on several rec leagues in the park, and I just kept pursuing it and getting better and better. And then one time when I was in my mid-20s, so in between babies, I had, in my 20s, I was having all those 4 babies. So I'd play for a few months, and then I'd be maybe 6, 7, 8 months pregnant. I'd have to quit for a while, come back for a few short months, have to quit, come back. So during that time in my 20s, some of the guys that I played with on this co-ed team told me one day that they were going to play sand doubles, beach doubles at a local park that had just built some sand volleyball courts in there. So this is July in Phoenix, well over 110 degrees. And they said, yeah, come on out Saturday. We'll introduce you to the sport. And I was like, yeah, sure. They're pulling my leg, but nobody's going to be playing outside in this weather. And I went, and sure enough, they were sitting there playing 2 on the side. So basically you're in every play if you're playing this sport. It was just like eye-opening. And this was just the sport that I wanted to play. I knew right then, and I have never looked back. I've been playing sand doubles volleyball since the 80s, the mid-80s.
Was there anybody specifically that inspired you, not only to play the beach volleyball, you mentioned a little bit about the guys, but maybe any other sports or just to be fit in general?
You know, I was really lucky that in my elementary school, we had a PE program, and I had a wonderful PE teacher in elementary school, Miss Dixon. And all through my 3rd grade through 8th grade, she was just inspiring, inclusive. She wanted everybody to play, and we just had so much fun doing that. So she sent me off to a good start. When I was in high school and playing in Canto Park, there was a guy who came around who coached me quite a bit. His name was Rick Froman, and he was kind of a local legend at the time because he would coach people along. And he was really what I needed in those early days of focusing on volleyball. I have not had any bad experiences with any sport I've ever played. I played some recreational softball, some basketball here and there occasionally. And all of the people that I've played any team sport with or double sport, they've just been wonderful. We have now a really good group of, especially women. The guys are great too, but I play now mostly women. It's really funny because when I first started playing in high school, started playing volleyball, there weren't any girls that played. And so it was all guys and just me. I was the only girl and I played with the guys all the time. They were great. All the guys were very welcoming and they let me play in the men's tournaments because there just weren't enough women that were interested to play. We finally started getting some traction with women, but in the early days, if we had 4 women's teams, oh, that was a big tournament.
Mhm.
So now, though, the girls are coming on strong. We have girls in elementary school, in junior high, in high school that are just phenomenal players, and they are getting this great coaching. And as they age out of the high school program, maybe they play in college, and then age out of that, they're coming into our volleyball community, and it's so wonderful that we have so many women now. So I play much more women's now than I've ever played in my life. And a couple of women that were there in the early days and are still really involved in the volleyball community, Kelly Jacobs and Misty LaSalvia. With those 2 girls, we have worked very hard to be welcoming to everybody in beach volleyball. And if we get a hold of any of them, they're in the group. And we run Queen of the Beach tournaments to get to know people. We run draw tournaments. It's just phenomenal, the amount of people that come through the volleyball community now.
Tell us a little bit. I'm going to give you a chance to brag just a hair. Give us some of your highlights, some of your personal achievements. Again, always volleyball is certainly the focus, but if anything else that you've done, anything else as well.
Highlights probably started with volleyball because that's my most, that's what I'm obsessed with, and that's what I played most of. So in the 80s and maybe early 90s, I got to the point where I stopped getting pregnant and having babies. So in my mid 30s or so, 33 to 37, I was the state champion for several of those years. I never, I didn't pay attention to it back then, and I didn't save anything from those years, and we didn't take pictures like we do now. So I don't have anything specific on what years, but it was at least 2 or 3 years. I won the Arizona State Championship for beach doubles, went out to the national, it was a national organization of local volleyball groups that had a tournament. So I got to play in some of those national tournaments. Great fun times with that. And then I won it again when I was in my 40s. Just a fluke. We just decided, me and this, I had kind of not been playing too competitively at the time. And then we came back and said, okay, let's train and let's play, me and this girl, Deb Kennelly. And we ended up winning it. So we got to go to Santa Barbara that year for the nationals. And then after I turned 50, so we adopted the kids when I was in my mid 40s, late 40s, and 6 kids at a time is a lot. And 5 of those kids were under 5 when we adopted them. So we had our hands full. I took some years off from much play. I would still keep my hand in, play occasionally, but very little. Then the kids were getting older. I was in my mid 50s. I decided I'd start playing again. And I started playing masters at that masters level. And I've discovered the World Masters Volleyball Organization, and they do regional masters as well as the World Masters. So I played in the New Zealand World Masters Games. I think it was 2017. And we took second place. My partner and I took second place in that. I went back a year or two later to that area of the world in Malaysia with a partner, and we won the Pan Asian Games. One year, my partner and I took first place in our division. I played in Italy with the European Masters game one year. And let me tell you, those Europeans are so competitive. The partner I had that year was only just barely 40. So Masters divisions tournaments, they divide it in every 5-year age span. So, and you have to play with your youngest player division. So my partner was 40. So we played in the minimum of 40-year-old division. And then they had 45s, 50s, 55s, 60s, and on up. But I was in my 60s and she was only 40. But we took third in our pool and we played really well. But man, it was so competitive in Italy. We didn't place. We didn't medal there. Played in Vancouver at the Americas Nationals one year. Won our age division for that. So the Masters have been great. The dyno tournaments. So the difference for the viewers who don't know between a Masters and a dyno, the Masters is that both players have to be a certain minimum age. Dyno or dinosaur tournaments are you have to have a combined age of usually 70 or 75 or 100 or whatever it is. So being old, I can play with pretty much anybody. So I try to get the best young player that I can get to play with. And I played a few years back when they had the in the Hawaiian dyno, which is one of the just probably the premier United States dyno tournament. Well known, very good vibe, just a wonderful place and so competitive. So we played in the inaugural hundreds division in that and won it. That was just the year of COVID started, so it must have been 2020 for that one. We just snuck in under the wire before COVID hit, and we had the tournament, took the hundreds, and then they had to call it off for a year or two. I also started playing seniors indoor about the same time. So seniors, you have to be usually minimum of 50. It does vary a little bit, but so I started playing indoors there, and there are a lot of 6-on-6 indoor hard court tournaments for seniors, which are a lot of fun too. And I can't even remember all of the medals that our teams have won playing seniors.
Tell us a little bit about some of the setbacks that you had along the way.
Nothing gave me any trouble. I had no setbacks other than getting pregnant, which, takes you out for a time. Early days, hardly any physical problems. My husband and family were very supportive. I was lucky that I could get to play almost year round here in the Phoenix area. So it wasn't until I was in my late 50s, probably it is in my 60s, before I started having some physical setbacks. First, my right knee, it just started swelling to the point where I couldn't play because it was swelling too much. And I couldn't, then sometimes I couldn't put weight on it. So I had a scope done on my right knee first. A couple years later, my left knee started doing the same thing. So I did a scope, just a little fix up, and those have done me very well. They've worked great. Then I had the rotator cuff just last year. About a year and a half ago, my right shoulder, I could tell something was wrong with it. And like in true athlete fashion, you just bully through it and you think maybe you can just, push through it. And became apparent that pushing through wasn't it. So I would rest it for a month or so. That wasn't doing it. I finally had to go in and get the x-ray and the MRI, and they said I had a big hole in the rotator cuff muscle here. It was attached on the sides, but nothing in the middle. And so they fixed that up for me. I took maybe 10 weeks off. There was this great tournament in Florida that I wanted to play in. And so I didn't hit, but at 10 weeks after this shoulder was, had the surgery on it, I went out and played in a tournament and didn't hit with my right hand. To get ready for it, I started practicing with my left hand. So I'd go out 3 or 4 days a week for an hour or as long as I could stand and just hit the ball with my left, and get my left to be a little bit coordinated and enough to occasionally hit some with it. And I'm trying to keep it up. So that's a setback that has actually turned into an advantage. But really, those are my only 3 setbacks so far.
So what are you currently doing for your fitness training regimen?
My fitness has always been doing something, mostly just playing volleyball, because that's a good overall workout. You're getting, and I might work on something. I'll work on my serves. I'll work on my digging this particular cut shot or something like that for a while. But it's really everything on the court. I love to play. If I can't get a game up, maybe it's rainy or we can't find a court available here in the Phoenix area or whatever it is, nobody else wants to play, I'll go out and ride my bike for miles and miles and miles. I'll hike. We've got some really great mountains in the area that you can go hiking on, but neither of those things is as good overall fitness as beach volleyball. Those are just kind of the fallbacks if I have to do something. So I'm one of those, I think, rare people. I never go to the gym. I don't really do drills on the volleyball court. I don't really work out. I just play volleyball.
So what are you chasing right now? Do you have any tournaments or goals right now that you're pursuing?
There's a tournament in Rosarito, Mexico, where it's a draw tournament. They do it every year and it goes for charity. It's a blast. It's just a big party atmosphere, but it's a doubles draw. So you submit your name, age, and some basic information about you, and they match you up with somebody, you know, comparable with you, and you play for 2 or 3 days in the sun in Mexico. That's coming up in June. I'm going to do the Seaside tournament. There's a Seaside, Oregon, and they run everything from juniors, doubles, boys and girls, through adults, all the different divisions. Open, they get some AVP players out there. Last year it was an AVP event. They get everything down to the rec level in doubles, and then they do masters. And so by age bracket. So I have a partner this year who is 60, so we can play in the 60s division, and it's very competitive even at that 60s level, so we really have to be on top of our game for that.
So tell us about your approach to diet and nutrition.
I just watched one of your previous broadcasts where the girl was a track star, and I can't remember her name, but she was saying how she had to increase the amount of protein and fat in her diet, particularly animal fat that she needed. Mm-hmm. And I want to concur with that. I discovered when I was 20, that the diet that worked best for me was high protein, high fat, low carb, no sugar. So you might think it's a keto diet. That's fairly popular lately, and it's very similar to that. But the idea is I eat a lot of animal fat and vegetable fats, and I eat a lot of protein and rarely any sugar and barely any carbs. Fruits and vegetables I'll eat tons of, as much as I can. Those are free, but the focus for me, the main focus is on those fats and proteins, and primarily animal fats and proteins.
So is there anything you would have done differently in your health and fitness journey?
I'm pretty happy with the decisions I've made. Several times I've had that decision to make. Should I keep playing volleyball? Should I keep active? Or, you know, I'm old enough. I can just sit back in a rocking chair at this point. I don't have to do anything. I've had a great life. I've done a lot of things. I could just sit back now. And I think about that and I say, but volleyball's still fun. So I would not quit ever. Just keep making that. It's a conscious decision, you know, I find that you make, and I just make that conscious decision to, yeah, I'm just going to stay active, and it's been good.
What is your secret sauce to health and fitness?
I love that question too. So to me, it has to be fun, which is kind of, that goes back to that. I never work out in gyms because I cannot see the fun in gyms. I cannot see the fun in running by myself. That just doesn't motivate me. So find what motivates you and do it. So the unique aspect of social plus hard physical workout with beach volleyball, that's been my secret sauce, I think, because I make great friends through the years. Lots and lots of close women friends that I just love. And of course, the men too. I've been married this whole time, so I'm not You know, I'm not really looking as much for the guy friends, but I've had some lifelong men who have been just great friends to me through volleyball, and we've gotten into doing other things as groups together, whether it's traveling or going out here or there. So make it fun, keep it fun, and keep saying yes. That's the thing.
I really appreciate you connecting with us, letting us know what makes you an Autumn athlete that's not done yet. I'm going to just give you the floor for any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience.
First of all, thank you so much, Larry, for doing this. Again, I think this is just so important for people to see that you don't have to be done yet, right? That you can keep going a long, long time. And I play with girls, like I say, in junior high and high school, all the way up through women. There's actually a couple women even older than me who still play. And you can play if you want, if it's still fun and you're enjoying it, keep playing your entire life.
Bea, thank you so much. Autumn athletes, Bea is definitely not done yet. Please like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Larry.